So thank you everybody for being here. This is our How to Host a Kitten Shower webinar. And I guess before anything, I just want to say thank you. If you're here, you work with cats and kittens, and we're so grateful for the work that you all do. We hope that your kitten season is a good one this year, and we hope we can help give some ideas for how to make it a strong season. Just to start with some introductions, my name is Hannah Shaw. I am the founder of Orphan Kitten Club. A lot of people know me as the Kitten Lady. I'm a humane educator and an author and a kitten rescuer. Kittens are really my life's work. And I was saying to Jackie yesterday, I think I might be the world's #1 kitten shower attendee because such a large part of what I do is travel and work with animal shelters on their kitten programs and on kitten education. So I've had the good fortune of getting to attend several dozens of kitten showers over the course of my career, big ones, little ones, all over the country. So learned a lot along the way. And Jackie, do you want to share about yourself and your background with kitten showers?
Yeah, so I'm Jackie Noble and I'm executive director of Orphan Kitten Club. And I've been the executive director since June of last year, but I've been associated with Orphan Kitten Club in many different ways since it was created many, many years ago. So prior to Orphan Kitten Club, I was the director at a local shelter here in San Diego, and I oversaw the first 24-hour kitten nursery and a really huge foster program. And I have about 15 years experience in the neonatal kitten space and have attended and hosted and been a part of a lot of kitten showers locally as well. So I'm really excited to share that knowledge with you all and hope that you can build something amazing in your own community with the knowledge we're sharing today.
So, a little bit about Orphan Kitten Club. We are a national organization, and our focus is on neonatal kittens and really making change for kittens in communities and in shelters. This map kind of shows the breadth of our work right now. We're in about 100 different communities. Some of the work that we do are things like we have a research program. You can see UC Davis in Northern California there. We are doing pediatric ethical research to understand neonatal kittens better. We have our nursery here in San Diego, where Jackie and I both live. We take care of neonatal kittens. But our biggest program by far is our shelter and rescue grant program. We have, like I said, about 100 organizations that we work with currently and growing all the time. And I'm very proud that we have funded over $3 million in grants for neonatal kittens, affecting over 50,000 kittens and going. So this is just a little map of that. We want to tell you about some of our grant types because I know we have some of our partner organizations here, but a lot of you are from organizations that we don't yet partner with, that hopefully that can change in the future. So our big program is our Mighty Cat Grant Program. We have 3 different types of grants that our partners are eligible for. And I promise this will link back to the kitten shower conversation, but quickly, one of our grant types is medical grants. So what happens is that as kittens with high medical needs come into the shelter or into the rescue, the question is, could this be a mighty cat? A mighty cat is a kitten who needs a bit of extra funding and support to be able to make it to adoption age. And so we fund everything from, surgeries to hospitalizations for these little medical cases.
Yeah, so the strategic grants are really exciting for our Mighty Cat Committee, who you're going to learn about in a couple slides. But this is where we put our heads together and decide, where could we make the most impact for kittens. So last summer, we were able to send 1 million meals of formula across the country to our partners. And so our partners were able to just log on and select how many buckets of formula they needed to last them for kitten season. And that all equated to 1 million meals of formula. And we know how expensive formula can be and how much the little ones all consume. So it was really excited, and we're hoping to do another fun summer cycle this year as well. So this is one of my favorite grant spaces just because of we're get really creative and see how big of an impact we can make across the country.
And then our biggest grant type is our innovation grants. These are our grants that are typically between like $5,000 and $40,000 investment into our shelter and rescue partners. And this is where our shelter partners, they tell us what kind of innovation they want to do in their kitten program to make a new impact for kittens. So decreasing euthanasia, improving the lives of kittens, improving the quality of care. Our Mighty Cat Committee is who decides on these grants. And so these are some of the members of that committee. I love our committee so much because we have real expertise that kind of spans lots of different areas. So people who have worked in shelter programs, veterinarians, people who work kind of on the more finance side of things to try to really understand what are the needs of these partner organizations and where can we be investing our funding for the biggest impact for kittens. And one of the questions that always comes up, because Jackie's been on this committee for years that we've been doing this, one of the big things is kitten kits. Shelters always want kitten kits, which are these supply kits of, kitten care supplies that can be distributed to foster parents or kitten finders. Jackie, do you want to kind of talk about that and how that links back to the conversation today?
Yeah, so when I joined the Mighty Cat Committee and my first round of innovation grants that I did, I went full deep dive into all of our partners that were asking for kitten kits, and I went to their websites, I went to their wish lists. I was looking at all of their social media posts, and I was like, no one is doing kitten showers. Some of these items aren't even on their wish lists. And I was like, these are items that I think the community would really love to donate to a local group. And it kind of blew my mind that those steps weren't taken prior to asking for the grant. And I would say as a grant giving organization, obviously the requirements for reporting on grants and stuff can be a little bit time consuming, probably more so than just getting a donation from a wish list. So I was really blown away that more groups weren't doing kitten showers and they weren't keeping their wish list up to date with these supplies that they were asking for through this grant. So when we kind of mathed it out, we've given over 3,000 kitten kits through our innovation grant program, over $300,000. And it's our number two request next to staff. So we were like, how can we equip not just our own partners, but other groups across the country with the knowledge to be able to kind of get these supplies themselves? So we hope that you're going to learn a ton today and be able to take this away and be able to implement a lot of these things. So what if your own community would donate these supplies to you? I will say kittens are the cutest thing in the world. They're obviously, when there's one of them, they're very cute. When there's 3,000 of them, they can feel a little less cute sometimes, but your community thinks kittens are cute and they want to help them and they want to donate to you to help those kittens. So we're going to teach you how to set something up to do that. You can shape your kitten shower in any way you want, and there's a few different models we're going to share about. So there's an in-person only model, and Hannah, being the number one ever attendee to kitten showers, is going to share a lot of information about the in-person style of things. And then there's a virtual model where essentially you're creating a wish list and you're just really, your goal is to bulk up your supplies for kitten season. And then there's a hybrid model where you're doing both. So you're doing uh, the virtual piece where you're getting those supplies, but then you're marrying it with an in-person event as well. And I think that might be where the sweet spot is, but you can decide what fits best for your organization as we work through all of this information. So for duration, just like right off the bat, I think a lot of people are like, when am I going to fit this into my schedule of everything? For a virtual kitten shower, that's more of like a supply, get your supplies, you can set that up and you can have it going for about a month. I think that is the sweet spot where you still have a lot of engagement from your community. I think if you go a little longer than that, you kind of lose that investment that is there. So a month is a really nice timeline for that. And then for in-person events, rather than making it just a quick 2 hour session, you can make it a little bit longer and have drop-in times. And then Hannah's going to share about having like workshops in the middle of those drop-in times. But if you are doing an in-person event, have a donation bin and leave it out longer than those 4 to 6 hours. You can leave it in your lobby, connect with your local pet supply store and put a little donation bin in their space. So you can get those items longer than just those 4 to 6 hour window. So, yeah, you have a lot of potential to do a long-term virtual event or a shorter term in-person event too. So this is a little note on in-person events, and what you're seeing in that picture is 10 years ago me. So this is 2015, and the former shelter I worked at was San Diego Humane Society, and this was our very first kitten shower we did all those years ago. So this is baby me in front of all the supplies that came in through our in-person only event, the very first year that we did it. And oh my gosh, I was so excited to get all of these supplies. But when I look back on it, I'm looking at, 8 different types of wet food, bags of clumping litter that I can't use for kittens, some blankets that might catch on fire in the dryer. Um, we really didn't have a plan in place for what to ask for. And I think that we did a lot better as years went on with how we asked for items and were more specific. And so we're going to teach you how to do all of those things now so that you can have a big mountain of supplies that you're thrilled with, but also you can use specifically for your kitten population, and don't end up having to go into like your adult cats or your pantry supplies. We want to make sure everything you get from a kitten shower can truly be used for the little ones that need it the most.
Yeah, and just a note on all the different food types that you see there. I mean, anyone who works with kittens, there's one word that comes to my mind when I see all those different diet types. I wonder what the word is that comes to your mind, Jackie.
Oh, just diarrhea.
Diarrhea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Switching up the diet. We want, for kittens, we want a consistent diet and you probably want a high quality wet food. So you definitely want to be asking for the right types of things. I think the consistent diet is the most important part. So, while all of these supplies were so lovely to get donated that first year, it was a real eye opener on like maybe we could lead with some instruction, for future years and get, more supplies that we could use more effectively.
I love this picture of you though, Jackie. Okay, so let's chat a little bit about in-person events. For me, I really love an in-person event. I think that some people have this impression that cat people are like antisocial or something, and it's actually very much not true. We just don't create a lot of opportunities for cat people to come together. So for me, an in-person event, it's an opportunity for your community members to engage with your programs in a very low stakes way. You're not saying like, come out here and volunteer, come out here and sign up to foster, which maybe they don't like really understand what that is or what the commitment is. This is just a fun party that people of all ages can be a part of. People from lots of different backgrounds and experience levels or inexperience levels can be a part of. And the idea of your in-person event is just to like cast a really wide net in your community, scoop in all the people who might be kitten curious, people who like kittens, kitten fans, cat fans. And then, you do some fun activities with them, little fun facts about kittens, party games, pin the hat on the cat. I love the bracelet making, craft stations, sort of just like a human baby shower, but kittenified. And this is, I mean, it's a very, very fun way to spend your Saturday. This is something that should be living on every like, family fun things to do this weekend kind of list. You can do coloring stations. I wanted to mention, I have a book called The Captivity Book. There's specifically an entire chapter on kittens, just like a cute spot the differences in the kitten nursery. I love this one on the right is the kind of crown making for kittens, which can be really cute, just little something to put on a kitten's head for an adoption photo. This is just a really goofy kind of naming kitten body parts with like what nickname you would give to that body part. For in-person events, you want to make them really an event, like make it something people will take a picture of and spread the word online. Ideally, this is not just touching the lives of the people who attend your event, but they're going to take a picture next to that big meow sign and post online and say, like, hey, I'm a supporter of my local organization. I learned that kittens need foster parents. Here's where you can go to learn more. We live in such a social media heavy world now. So, like, creating kind of backdrops and things like that, things that will make people post about it, that's going to be a real win. This is just a summary of activities that we came up with or that we've seen be really successful. So pin the hat on the cat, write kitten names on onesies. I really like that one. You can have people either for a donation. I've seen organizations do like $5 and you can name a kitten and you get like a little paper onesie and you hang it on the wall and it says like, Mr. Buttons or whatever. And you got to name that kitten. You can also do it for free. You can do like a model where for every gift that you bring from the wish list, that gets you like a raffle ticket. And then you can kind of use your raffle tickets almost as if you were at a carnival. So, you get to play this game or play that game.
I love that as a model to like you come in to your kitten shower, you've brought, your supplies that you're donating, and then you're like rewarded with a raffle ticket, and then you get to play these really fun games that are a little bit creative, but a lot of these games are really low cost as well. I just wanted to point that out. There's not a ton of upfront costs in a lot of these things like the cat masks and the cat ears. You can print, just cut paper out and coloring and do those types of things. There's some more fun ones down there as Hannah's working through. I have a favorite one on the list.
Oh, really? The DIY toy and blanket making, I think, is really fun because I mean, it's an excuse to get people together and use their hands, but it's literally like free materials that you can use for these. So actually, if you just Google like Kitten Lady DIY toy making, I have a video of 5 different DIY cat toys that you can make, and the materials are literally like free or like cents. This picture is actually of some of those toys at a toy making workshop that I did. And that's a really fun thing. And the person, they get to have the fun activity and then they get to leave that as a gift for the kittens. Litter scoop games, guess the number. I'm Jackie. What is your favorite one?
That's my favorite one, the guess the number. So you pick something and you put it in a bigger vessel. So I saw in one of the pictures earlier, it was like kitten bottles in like a bin, and you had to guess how many kitten bottles were in the bin. It's in that back corner of that picture. You can just see how many bottles are in there. And people are just like, they stand there and they're interacting, and you can kind of capture their attention and chat to them. But my favorite one, I've seen someone do it with kibble. And in my head, I'm like, someone had to then count all of those kibbles as they went into that vessel. And you're like, oh, whose job was that? Um,
That's a
I
good volunteer
personally,
job.
I know, you're like one kibble, two kibble. I personally did it with cat toys. So we took cat toys that were donated from the wish list because we started the virtual bit a little bit earlier than we started the in-person shower. And the new toys that came in, we like put them in a bin and we're like, guess how many kitten toys are in here? And it's just honestly like you can do a prize if you want to do a prize, but people just like to do those types of things and they want to be the closest to the number. So I don't know, that's my favorite one.
Bingo. Bingo is so fun. You can do like cat bingo. I have a friend who hosts a lot of cat bingo fundraisers, and rather than having it be that you get like 5 in a row, he'll do like a C, an A, and a T. It's just a cute thing to
That's
do.
cute. And the other thing you can do with bingo is you doesn't have to be someone calling numbers. You could have like if you visit this station, you get to mark this square. If you go and visit this part of our shelter or rescue, you get to mark this square. So you can kind of do it in like more of a treasure hunt bingo, which guides people to like educational stations, and you can weave in your education that way. So you've captured them with that wide net, and then you're like slowly educating them while they're there, which leads really nicely into the workshop piece that Hannah is a pro at doing these. So she's going to tell you all about that.
Yeah, so I really have a belief that, if we're waiting until somebody thinks they're perfectly ready to foster, we're missing out on a huge opportunity to grab the attention of people who actually could truly become foster parents. When you're doing an in-person event, like I said, this is for people of all ages. The idea is to cast a super wide net, and I think to market it more as like a baby shower, like a party. Come support our kitten program, come learn about our kitten program, come play activities and do bingo. But while you have these people there, you've got this captive audience and you've got such a nice opportunity to do some education with them. This is the piece that I travel around and do is I teach kitten workshops for people of all different levels. But I do a lot of these kind of like community, like 101 type classes. And I just want to encourage people that you may be very surprised by how much you can convert people over into foster parents when you do it, strategically. So, I love doing this. It is like one of my biggest joys, but I think it is something that any like foster coordinator or educator in your community who is comfortable leading a class on kittens can learn to do exactly what I'm doing at these. There's sort of like a special formula to it. When we are trying to bring people in, and we'll talk about communication in a little bit, but Jackie and I are both really big believers in positive communication. So not overwhelming people with the sad, but inspiring people to come in, especially in the beginning. We're marketing cute kittens, cute, 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 everything fun, happy, uplifting. Once we have them there, we want to stay uplifting and happy. But I also think it's important to present the issue in an honest way, let people know here's what kitten season is. This is why it's difficult for us. And this is what kittens are facing. And sharing that in a way that is honest, but uplifting, always with that sort of message of hope. I'm a big believer in inspiring through storytelling. So if you are going to do a 20-minute little educational class or a 30-minute educational class in the middle of your in-person event, I would say spend 5 to 10 of those minutes just telling a story. Tell a story of a kitten who came to you, what was their journey, and really let people feel the experience of like understanding that payoff, because you can get people laughing and crying with a 5-minute kitten story with some beautiful images or videos, that then you're kind of like engaging with their heart in a way that can be really priming them for action. So once we do that, my next piece of advice after that is to talk about the buts. What I mean by the buts is all the reasons that people will say, I would foster, but dot, dot, dot. And there's a number of them. It's really like the same 5 things. It's, I would foster, but I have an animal at home. So talk about that. Hey, and if you're interested in fostering, but you have an animal at home, here's what you need to know. I would foster, but it sounds expensive. Talk to them about that. What do you provide? Like really eliminate some of those concerns. I would foster, but I'd be afraid that I would keep them. Talk through that. How does that work? Have other foster parents there who can maybe share a story of their kind of journey, getting comfortable with the fostering process. I would foster, but I don't have enough time, or I'm worried I'm not going to have enough support. My perspective is most people who think they can't foster really could, if they just understood kind of the logistics of making it work and how it works for your organization. So I say, be honest about the issue, tell an inspiring story, help people see themselves doing this by breaking down those barriers, and then give them the basics. They don't need to know like how to give subcutaneous fluids or like how to do, complicated medical math or something, right? They need to know the basics. How do you bottle feed a kitten? How do you help them go to the bathroom? And then your final thing is being ready to onboard people, letting them know we have kittens here today who need a foster home. And I'm going to tell you a quick story about how that works with some of my events. But, you can have this done by your foster coordinator, any, staff member who wants to do it for your organization. You can also bring in an outside trainer. I would love to come visit any of you guys. That's what I do. But I do believe anybody can learn how to do this. I want to give you an example from last summer. This is something that happens at a lot of my workshops. This one was here in Southern California at Riverside County Shelter. They have this lovely community room next door to the shelter. And we had about 100 people there taking this class with me. And there was no premise of like, you're going to take home a kitten at the end of this class. This was just people who are interested kind of in cats and they come and they learn. But what I did was prior to, doing that class, I went and I looked around the kennels and I saw that there were 25 unweaned kittens. And those unweaned kittens were not going to be able to stay there that night. They all needed foster homes. I took a picture of every single group of kittens and I put it in the end of my talk. And so I went through the talk and then I said, hey, and by the way, this is not theoretical. Like, here's this lovely black and white 2 week old kitten. Who wants to take this kitten home? And I'll tell you what happens. The room is quiet for a second and everyone's looking around at everyone like, oh, is she really asking us that? And one person raises their hand and says, you know what? I'll do it. That sets off like a chain reaction because people are so inspired by one another stepping up and saying yes. Basically, at the end of this talk, I said, if anybody wants to sign up, let's march over to the shelter. And this was what it looked like. I mean, I was able to place 21 of the 25 kittens just from people who attended that talk. And the final four I took home with me because I wanted to get all 25 of those guys out of there. But it was so fun. Like these were people who were brand new to this, some of them, and were inspired because they had the information then and there, and we had kittens ready to go, and we were able to quickly onboard them. So this is something I see all the time. This is just another fun example from Pasadena Humane Society. A couple of years ago, I did this, and I felt like that, like, you get a car, but it was with kittens. Everybody was getting kittens, and it was so fun. And who knows if these people, if we don't give them that opportunity and they go home and they're thinking about it and life, happens and they forget to sign up. So you have them there, inspire them, give them some information and like put a kitten in their hands that they can take home. I want to make a note about real kittens at events, which is that when you do an in-person event, especially if the person coordinating this is like an event coordinator, somebody who doesn't work directly with kittens, make sure that everybody involved understands the importance of like biosecurity for kittens. Kittens can carry a lot of viruses, they can carry bacteria, they can carry a lot of things that we don't want to like touch them and then touch the table and then touch the pamphlet and then that person goes home and touches their cat or vice versa. We want to be really careful about and mindful about how we have kittens at events. So if you are going to have live kittens at your event, please, if they're on a table, have like something covering the surface, pee pad, blanket. This is an opportunity for you to model, appropriate handling of kittens at a event like this. So gloves, really important. Anytime someone tries to hand me a kitten at an event, I always try to model like, oh, do you have gloves? It kind of just even helps people remember, oh, I should be thinking like that. I'm in public with a kitten. I should be thinking, do I have gloves? You can model humane handling. And then please, if you're doing a 6-hour event, just be careful about food safety. You don't want to have like a bottle of formula sitting on the table warm and collecting bacteria for 6 hours, right? So this is an opportunity for you to model best practices for the people in attendance. And I really like the idea of like feeding times that you can put on the schedule. Say it's a 6-hour event, you can say, and at 2, 4, and 6, we'll be doing a feeding. So come on out and see that. And this is an example of an event that I did where I brought a kitten and you can see it's like paparazzi. Like, I just can't even believe that we struggle to fund and care for these kittens in our programs because they have fans out there. We just need to engage them. I mean, look at this. These people are desperate to touch this kitten, and you can tell them you can touch a kitten when you take one home to foster.
There's a couple things you can do with a virtual shower, and we're going to get into like the nitty-gritty of setting up your wish list or registry, but you can actually host a virtual event online as well. As if someone donates to your kitten shower, you can give them an invite to like a Zoom session like this, where you can still thank them for their donation. You can still educate them. I know Hannah's done a couple of like virtual kitten showers where you can still play games. You can still do all of that and people from the comfort of their own homes can do that.
If you're going to do a virtual kitten shower with like an actual event, you have to have a kitten cam. That's a requirement. Like everybody wants to see a kitten cam.
This is a fact because one of the things I used to do is a kitten bingo, and I would do it virtually, and we would have the camera panning around all of the kittens that were in the shelter. And even in that event, some people that were attending would be like, "Oh, can I foster those ones?" And then you'd be like, "Yes, come see me. Like, come down to the shelter after this session, or email us. We can set something up for tomorrow." So, you can still have the same impact virtually as you have in person as well. So, and you can do a virtual kitten shower, like I said earlier on. Like, I think a month is about a sweet spot before you start kind of people stop listening to all of your pleas and stop paying attention. So I think a month time frame for a virtual shower of like a wish list being promoted is a really nice length of time.
Can you answer a question that other people might have that I had for you because you've done so many of these virtual kitten showers? What is the difference between a virtual kitten shower for a month and just like having a wish list on your website?
It's all in the marketing. It's essentially the exact same thing. You're just marketing it differently at the time of year you need it the most. So, you're just,
The
this is
sneaky
all about
way of
marketing.
making it more exciting and eventized and like a little media moment. Um,
Exactly.
yeah, exactly.
So I want to share a little tip and trick about registries versus wish lists when you're setting them up online. So when you're physically setting up your virtual wish list, I think most organizations have a year-round wish list where you put stuff on there. And a registry is different from that. So, um, you can set up a registry and on the companies we have listed here, you can set up registries on Amazon, Walmart, and Target, and a bunch of anywhere you can have a baby registry, you can set up a registry. And what happens when you do a registry instead of the standard wish list is you get a ton more donor information. I think anyone that has a wish list that is also thanking their donors knows how hard it is to actually get your donors' information unless they tell you their name and where they live or an email address. They kind of go into the void, and it's almost impossible to contact them to say thank you, to ask him for support in the future. I think if we have any development people in the house today, that donor information is so valuable, and your wish list is not going to give that to you, but your registry is going to give you more. And so that is kind of the magic behind setting up a registry instead of a wish list for this period of time. And pulling in all your kitten donors, and you can speak to them again in the future when you need something else for your kittens. And so I just wanted to point that out. I think that is a tip that a lot of groups maybe haven't harnessed yet, and I think it's really helpful. The other thing is you need to give options because your donor base are going to all be from different backgrounds, your supporter base, and people are going to have preferences about where they shop and where they don't shop. And you don't want to count anyone out by only giving them one choice. So if you select putting a registry up from two or three different places, you may capture someone that absolutely will not shop somewhere, but they'll shop at this other place. So, giving those options is really, really important so that you're not, someone that wants to give to you still has that option. And then one thing I learned about, and this only it started I think last summer into fall, is Revival Animal Health is a website where you can shop for medical type supplies. They actually have a wish list format now. So it's not a registry, it's a wish list. And you can add a lot of medical supplies on there if you have an account set up with them, and people can donate through them directly to you. So that was an interesting new development for things like vaccines. I went on one the other day and a group had all of like their tube feeding supplies on there for kittens. And so it unlocks the potential for some like kitten specific medical supplies being donated through a wish list, which is really great. And of course, Chewy has their wish list options too. There's not a registry option there. But hopefully, this is not, these aren't your only choices, but these are some that you can get a lot of your animal related stuff from here. And we're not here to promote anyone in particular. We just, the point of this was to tell you about the registry versus wish list and how you get that donor info and just really provide those options. I think it's so important that your donors get the opportunity to donate to you.
All right, what are we putting in here, Jackie?
Oh my gosh, we talked about this at length when we were putting this talk together because when we as an organization, our grants are coming in and requesting kitten kits, it really runs the gamut. Like we, some places are going like all in and they're putting so many things in their kitten kits, and other groups are doing the basics, and you really have to know who your audience is. So, we can run through a basic supply kit, but if you're primarily focused on diversion programs and you're asking finders to keep the kittens that they locate, those people, you would love for them to foster for you again. They potentially won't. You don't want to give your brand new, best, most expensive supplies to go into one litter of kittens, right? You want to be giving maybe some of the essentials and maybe some pre-loved items. So, just running through this list, if you're giving a heat source out, you potentially don't want to do a $40 microwavable heat source for someone that's never going to come back and foster for you again. Rice socks don't keep their heat very long, but they do work for brief periods of time. Or you could take, say, a plug-in heat pad that doesn't have an auto shut-off that has been used a bunch of times and maybe not a brand new one, and support them with that. You might want to give them a scale that's already been in use, not like a brand new scale you just got in from your kitten shower, but maybe one that's been in circulation. So if it, doesn't come back to you, it's not the same, you don't feel it in the same way. Of course, you want to give your essential food and how to feed the animals, the appropriate amount of type of litter, I think, so that people know which type of litter to use. You probably don't want to give out your hard-sided carriers to your diversion people, maybe a cardboard carrier, something that's not $40 to $60. And then Hannah has these fantastic educational booklets that are incredible to add into kits as well. And or just your shelter or rescue materials that you have, you can throw in there. Don't exclude those items because they're really, really important. Um, and we were chatting about how you have to speak to your community members. Of all different backgrounds. So Hannah also has a Spanish version of that. I don't know, you can share a little bit about your booklets that you
Yeah,
have
I think
too.
it's just important to give people education. And I think the point with this slide is, you know, to be thoughtful about like what is the population of kittens and kitten caregivers that your organization is serving. Um, do you have a very strong repetitive foster base that is coming in and fostering over and over and over again? Or are some organizations are doing primarily diversion now, where these are, people who didn't realize they were going to be fostering a kitten and come into the shelter and take them home. So be thoughtful about like what will these people need. Not every organization provides every single thing, but these are some of the things to be thinking about. And maybe you want to even put some of that on your kitten shower wish list, is like, bring us your pre-loved
Mhm.
items for these types of kits. Um, and definitely always educational materials. But when we talk about like a foster kit for a fully loaded kit, and this is fully loaded, but this is the kind of thing that sometimes Orphan Kitten Club will fund. You can see in this picture, these are some kitten kits that we funded. But inside of that bin, you would have, more access to supplies if this is a kit that you're going to retain. So heat source, scale, these are the two items that I always say, even if you're not going to provide food, like somebody who fosters for you is going to get food, get the things that they need to be able to do the basic care. Foster parents, if they are not given supplies, they're unlikely to go out and like buy a heat source and a scale. So those are my two like absolute must-haves in a kitten kit. Obviously, all of these other items are important. If there are things that you might think you need that you do not need. Um, so for instance, we will see, an organization will apply for kitten kits and they'll say, we serve 2,000 kittens a year, so we need 2,000 thermometers. You don't need 2,000 thermometers to care for 2,000 kittens. You need maybe like, 10 thermometers that if the kitten is sick, this person can, check out medical supplies or nebulizer. You don't need 2,000 nebulizers. You need like, 8 nebulizers so you can distribute them when needed. So we want to encourage people to think like that. There
Hannah,
are other
tell us how you feel about $40 stuffed animals.
no, okay. I yeah. So you don't need a $40 stuffed animal. That is something that you can actually ask your community to donate to you, stuffed animals, but also you can bulk purchase or get donated for free. Stuffed animal companions that the kittens can cuddle up to. It does not need to be some big expensive thing. They get lost, they get damaged. Especially when we're doing like large scale of care. I would so much rather you spend your precious resources on things like medical care and, you know, helping kittens not have diarrhea or helping kittens like get overnight access to care if they need it. This is the way that we're always thinking, I think, as like a grant providing organization, is just like, okay, you could spend $40 on a stuffed animal and buy 300 of them, but like how much that funding could do if we allocated it towards veterinary expenses or a staff person that is there seasonally, right? So just be thoughtful about the things that you're putting in there. Bulk purchasing options, I also highly recommend that you put on your kitten wish list or registry. Buying one single kitten bottle could be like $8, but buying 25 kitten bottles could be like, $18. So have that option for people to buy things in bulk.
There are pros and cons for bulk purchasing from your community is that, a bucket of formula bulk is going to be $300 and you might have a $300 donor out there, but you most likely have like a $25 to $50 donor out there. So typically when I'm building a wish list or a registry, I provide options. So I put the bulk item on there, but I also put like a smaller bag of formula. So again, don't count anyone out from your donor base. Don't just put the bulk on there, but put them on there because someone out there will potentially give you that $300 bucket of formula. And then you can portion that out into Ziplocs, put labels on it. I always say, please don't send home unlabeled bags of white powder with your fosters in, in their vehicles. Put a label on with what the contents is and how to mix the formula. So you can portion out kibble. So you can do a lot of bulk asks and then you end up getting the most bang for your donor dollar across the course of time. So I think it's so important to provide those options, but also like don't not ask for the really expensive bulk item because someone might give it to you.
Absolutely. And then also be mindful of quantities for consumables versus reusables. Maybe this sounds obvious, but we see it all the time in our grant requests that, it'll be like, we care for 300 kittens a year. Therefore, we need 300 scales and 300 cases of food, right? And those things are not equivalent because food is a consumable item. That means you probably need a lot more of it than you're thinking because that's something you're going to have to be refilling. A foster parent is going to go through it and need more of it. Whereas a scale is something you only need as many of those as litters in foster at a time. So if you have 300 kittens a year, maybe you only need, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 scales that are distributed at a time and come back to you. So just, do a little bit of budgeting around that or where you want to ask for the help so that you don't end up with like 300 scales and nothing to feed your kittens. And then storage can double as housing. So whether that's using, making your kitten kits in little hard-sided kennels or making them in cardboard carriers or making them in these bins. Those are all things that can be used for neonate housing, which is nice. One thing that you might consider is a kitten kit party once you have all these lovely supplies. This is one that I did a couple years ago, and it was really fun. Basically, we took all the supplies that had been donated and made you can see on that top left picture, like stations where it was like all the baby wipes, all the food, all the bottles. And then I did a short, like 15-minute class on like, what's going on with kittens and why do they need all these supplies? And then instructed people, please go through with your kit and grab one item from each station. And we're gonna create these kits. Something that we also did was we had the volunteers who came to this event write thank you cards to the donors, or sorry, to the foster parents. So you can see in the bottom left, this is somebody writing a note that goes in the kit that just says like, hi, my name's Hannah, and I just want to say thank you for fostering this kitten. You're a lifesaver. Those little touches, I think, go a lot farther than people might think. It is a really nice personal way for both this person writing the card and the person receiving it to feel connected to your program. And then this is just another touch point. So you can do this as like a follow-up to your initial kitten shower. You can do this as, in place of a in-person kitten shower with just the items that you received at the end of the month. But I love this because it brings people together. It helps them feel kind of invested. And I feel like once somebody has put their hands into work helping you in this way, they are bought in to your program, hopefully. Very, very fun thing to do. And another strong reason to keep all your donor information so that you can contact these people and invite them to your kitten kit party.
So you're going to get all of these, hopefully get all of these fantastic items coming in to your organization. And you should really make a plan, not just to store them safely, but to retain them. So as those reusable supplies that are going out to your foster homes or maybe being in your shelter setting or in your rescue setting, make a plan to retain them. So checkout systems or can honor systems are great, but I've found that a lot of supplies that come in through kitten showers kind of evaporate out into foster homes and, may be collecting dust in a garage over periods of time. So it's really important to have a plan in place to collect back those reusable supplies so they don't fall out of rotation because you've worked so hard for them. So please consider a retention plan. Okay, so I have these are just some tips to take away. One thing Hannah mentioned about not needing 200 thermometers. A note on that is make sure you set limits on your wish lists and registries because a thermometer might cost $5 and formula might cost $300. And you could end up with countless thermometers. And I will say that happened to me and masking tape once that didn't have a limit. And I had masking tape for 5 years worth of masking tape to store because we didn't set a limit on the amount we needed. And people will see like, oh, it's only $3. And then everyone gets you the $3 item. So set your limits as you're building your registries and make sure you're considering those amounts, but also be really mindful of your donor dollars. So a lot of the stuff you put on a wish list, the price will start to fluctuate. So say you put a blanket on at the start that's $5. 3 days later, you might look at your wish list and the price has shot up to $25. You want to make sure you go in and pull that expensive blanket off of there and replace it with that $5 blanket because otherwise you're really just your donors are potentially going to donate it, but you could have had 5 blankets. They might have donated more things. So watch your wish. Don't just make it and forget about it. Watch your wish list, pay attention, and make sure you also on a registry, one thing to be aware of is what you add, the order you add it in is the thing you add the last is gonna show up at the top. So if you put your most important things on your wish list first, it's gonna bump down the list unless you click like a prioritize this item button. So just be mindful of the order you're uploading items as well. But yeah, I would say one thing that we also do a lot of grants for are incubators. and you can put an incubator on your wish list and maybe someone will donate you an incubator. Like you don't know. So put it on there. It's expensive, but maybe someone out there will see it and you can add a couple big ticket items, but like I said earlier, don't count anyone out. Have that range of prices of items and capture all of your donors. Okay, I'm going to get into some logistics as we wrap up because you're probably bubbling with a lot of ideas, and these are some very like tangible things that you can do right away. If you're not using Canva for nonprofits and you're a nonprofit organization, you're missing out of a ton of free equipment that you can design really, really cute graphics around. This presentation was made with a Canva backdrop. So you can make your Facebook banners, your Instagram, not squares anymore, whatever size they are these days. And you can, if you use Canva for nonprofits, you get all the pro stuff for free. So you can just click the resize button and it'll remake it for you, save you a ton of time. So if you're not using Canva for nonprofits, get in there. It's a really helpful tool and a time saver. As you're making your graphics, I can't understate that real kittens on your graphics are the best. Like cartoons or those types of things don't hit the same way as like a kitten, like this adorable kitten. You're looking in its eyeballs. It's an actual real life kitten. So get some nice images of kittens to put on your graphics. Keep it simple. And we also, you can make a video if you have time. So this is a cute video. We don't have the sound on. So this is from San Diego Humane Society. This is like an evergreen video. They just update every year with the words ch can change or the background colors, but it's just really cute B-roll of kittens playing, and you have the opportunity to create this little viral moment that people will share this video. And you could get donations not just from your own community, but you could get donations from anywhere in the world if this video gets shared enough. And and you potentially will get more donations that way. So putting together a really cute video that can be really shareable is an incredible way to get the word out there about your virtual piece of your kitten shower. Look at all those cute babies.
And I love how in this video they show how easy it is to use the registry.
Oh
It
yeah,
actually
just do, click
does,
through.
like, look how quickly you could help these kittens.
And these are just some examples of really cute graphics for banners to share. So when you're creating a buzz around your kitten shower with graphics, you can draw inspiration from the human baby shower world. There's like trends that happen in graphics and clothing. So you can look at what's trending. And so it could be flowers or pastels or neutrals or, you know, you can look at what's going on and create your graphics in like a trendy way each year. And then don't forget to put your organization's logo or name on the banner, especially if it's a shareable image. And don't forget to use the lingo. Like we talked a little bit earlier about making things really cute and casting that wide net. So you want to, something fun. We're expected, you're invited, it's raining kittens. So just find something catchy, simple to put on your graphics. And I thought all of these were pretty cute ones. This is one from our partner organization, Maui Humane. So you can see this is for an in-person event. Like right away, I can see it. I'm invited to a kitten shower. I can see the date and the time, and I can see what they're going to offer me in that session. And I think this is a really nice, clean graphic that can be shared for in person, and then you could do the same for a virtual event as well. So I really like this one because there's a real kitten on there as well that's getting bottle fed, and it really shows, the type of kitten that really needs help from a kitten shower. So I really liked this as an example as well. Talking about your kitten shower, and I have been watching the Q&A, and I do see some of these questions in here of I'm trying to do a kitten shower. I'm just not getting any traction in my community. Like, I don't know how to get the word out there. So, in the where section, we have how to get the word out there. So, of course, you have any email lists. If you're collecting email addresses, you want to blast all of your constituents on there with that information, post on social. You can get local business sponsors and then have them share it as well. So it's a two-way street on those. Word of mouth, especially Hannah mentioned earlier, those family groups. We're doing like a fun family weekend event. Like word of mouth will spread about that type of thing. But my favorite thing about kitten showers is they're so likely to get picked up by your local news station because they're cute, they're feel good. The news loves a feel good story to break up the heavy stuff. So, if you were to create a press release and send that to your local news media, the chances of your kitten shower, whether it's virtual or in person or both, getting picked up is really, really high. I remember one day when I worked at the shelter, I would think I was on every news station in San Diego one morning. Like I was virtually there. I was in the studio. They came to the shelter. And in that moment, you have to decide your top two important messages that you're going to share because you're going to want to, you're in your head, you're going to be like, I need to tell people I need to foster and stuff. And I want to tell them to spay and neuter. And I want to tell them to adopt. And I want to tell them why kittens exist. And you'll be wanting to hit all of those points. But my advice would be pick the two most important ones that are important for your community and make sure you talk about those the most so that your message doesn't get muddled up. Because I'm guilty of wanting to cram too much into a news segment. So, but yeah, the news media, they love a kitten shower. And that is the beauty of marketing because if you just said, here's my kitten wish list and I need stuff, they're not going to pick that up. But if you're like, my organization is doing their first ever kitten shower and here's what that is, they're probably going to pick it up. Or you could say my fifth annual kitten shower. So you can really play around with that. Um, if you're an OKC partner, you have access to our press release draft in our partner portal. If you're not a partner yet, you don't have access to that, but online you'll be able to find some press release templates that you can use that to help if you've never done that before. And as Hannah mentioned earlier, when you're communicating about it, like how you talk about a kitten shower, you probably don't want to lead in with kittens will die this year unless you help us. You want to probably lead in with something more hopeful, some cute videos of like good looking kittens, not crusty babies that look not super good. So you want to really get the attention in that positive way. And then once you have the attention, go with the educational pieces that are also needed. So yeah, these are some very quick tips to cover some of those things that are coming up in the chat as we're talking away as well. And then, of course, if you're doing the month-long virtual kitten shower, you want to bring your donors along on that journey and you want to send them updates along the way. So if you get a couple of blankets donated or a couple bottles donated, you can snap a picture of a real life kitten using those items and be like, hey, this is Melody. Melody's, making use of the supplies you send, and you can send that to everyone and re-include the link to your wish list because we have, multiple people might donate multiple times throughout the course of your shower. If I had a cute picture like this and I needed kitten shampoo, this would be like the best picture to be like, hey, we've been getting a ton of great supplies in, but we haven't got enough baby shampoo yet. Will you donate some baby shampoo to support us this kitten season? So pick your poster children kittens and use them and have some really nice pictures on deck to be able to send out to your donors that are supporting you and bring them on the journey. And you can educate in those emails as well. This is an example of when you're bringing your donors along on the journey. I remember there was a year when I was doing a kitten shower where we just weren't getting formula. And that's the thing we needed the most. Like we just weren't getting enough kitten formula coming in. And so at the end of the month, when our kitten shower was wrapping up and we were saying a thank you to everyone that donated and sharing the success, because it was a hugely successful kitten shower, the formula was missing. And we just said in that final email, we just included a link to say, like, this is the one thing we didn't get enough of this year. Can you make one final gift to support the kittens? And I kid you not, an entire pallet of kitten formula showed up within the week, like hundreds of pounds of kitten formula. So no, I know that, that was a pretty big base we were talking to, but don't not ask. And then, make sure your needs are communicated and make sure you know what you need. Keep track of everything that's coming in. So that was like a really powerful moment to show that, oh my gosh, even after a month, that final ask really, really got that support coming in. So you can make sure you wrap things up in a way that's like nice and positive. But if you have that one more ask, you can squeeze it in there and you never know what you're going to get. Oh my gosh. And don't forget to say thank you to your donors, especially when you get their donor information. I can't understate this enough. I love um, OKC. We're so great grassroots with how we thank our donors. We're able to do like personalized notes. You can do an email blast, you can do thank you notes. Really depends on the size of your organization. But Hannah is a pro at thanking donors as well. There's so many different ways to do it.
Sometimes people will come up to me at an event and say, "How do you fundraise?" And I'm like, "Ooh, that's like a week-long conversation or a month-long conversation, not like a quick one." But my quickest fundraising advice is always like get your donors information and thank them, like thank them, give them something that they put on their fridge that reminds them that they are a supporter of you, that like creates that kind of association between their compassion and your actions that your organization is taking. I just think it is so incredibly valuable. So I know there are some small organizations out there that like are using things like maybe Facebook fundraisers or Cash App or things like that, where you do not get the donor information. And typically, when I talk to those people, they'll say, well, it's just because it's easier. But I want to say to you, you know, $50 on Facebook that you don't get the information for, I would rather have $5 and an email and an address that now we can take that person's information and really steward that relationship, bring them along for that journey, thank them, introduce them to the kitten that they were impacting, invite them to the next thing. That is like that relationship building is such a huge piece of it. So I really appreciated that, Jackie, and your advice about the registry versus the wish list, because I think that's like a very easy change people could make to start tracking their donor info. So the main question I see in the Q&A is, how do you partner with Orphan Kitten Club? So we did put this, we anticipated that question and we put it in the end here. So we just wanted to share like who our partners are. So we work with municipal shelters, private shelters, foster-based rescues, and nonprofits that are in good standing with the IRS and that have a documented history of working with kittens under 8 weeks of age. So we really focus exclusively on that 0 to 8 week old kitten population. So we work with organizations that have a history of doing that or have a bit of history doing that, but are like primed to do more with a little bit of mentorship and funding. The way the program works is essentially your organization applies. I encourage you to not rush through that application. Our entire Mighty Cat committee reads every application for partnership. And if you skip a line that's like, oh, they don't really care about seeing our budget, it will just come to us and we'll all say, where's the budget? And then you won't get to move ahead. So take your time on an application if you want to apply for partnership. When we are looking to expand into a new region in the country, we try to focus our efforts in the areas of highest need and in the areas that we're not already serving. So, that's something that's kind of on I don't know how you would say that, Jackie, a rolling basis, but once an organization is approved for partnership, that grants you access to our partner portal. The partner portal is where you find access to, professional webinars like this one. You get access to materials that will help you in your kitten program, and then you get access to the grant.
The money opportunities
The
are there
money
as well.
opportunities, the
Yeah.
one that everybody wants. And
Everyone's like, how do I get that OKC money? So yeah,
I
but it's
know.
also our partners are very much, we have like a close-knit partnership with a lot of our groups. We offer mentorship if needed, and we want to make sure that, our goal is that the most kittens across the country get to live and go on to be adopted. And we really value all of our partners across the country that are making that happen in their own communities. So our partnerships are really about empowering people in their own communities to be able to serve the kittens that are coming through their doors and come up with community-based solutions. And we're so grateful that we're in a position to be able to fund some of those amazing groups. And we hope that if you are one of those people that Hannah described, that you do apply and then just be patient as we work through reviewing those applications and onboarding. Like Hannah said, it won't be an overnight turnaround, but we definitely appreciate when applications come in and that we get to review those and hopefully build our partner base. And we're in 45 states right now. We're hoping to get into all 50 states eventually, but we want to be heavier in those states that have a year-round kitten season, that are really, really in the thick of it, and that truly, truly need this support to save kitten lives. And but even if you can't be a partner, you at least now know how to host a killer kitten shower and be able to bring in those supplies that you need from your community. And so whether or not you're a partner or not, we wanted to open this up to everyone to give you the opportunity to receive this information and, be a part of this movement of saving more kittens and supporting them. I will answer the one about, do you recommend just a virtual or a just in person or a hybrid to make it stronger? And I would say that is completely dependent on your community and who you are as an organization. If you need fosters and that's your number one need, have an in-person event and maybe a virtual component as well. But if you feel like you have like a pretty strong foster base or have like a virtual onboarding foster process and you just need stuff, like go all in on the virtual model. It really depends on your organization and what you need. So I know that in-person can feel like a lot of work, but if you need fosters, that's, a really great way to bring in more through the community.
I saw a couple questions from different folks about disinfecting of items. How do you disinfect different items? Can you really disinfect like pre-loved things and make it safe for a kitten to use? Can you disinfect an incubator? The answer is thank goodness, absolutely, you can disinfect these things. Otherwise, can you imagine if all incubators were single use? We would have no budget for anything else. So, we can't give you a full lesson on disinfecting right now, but I do have a video. If you look up Kitten Lady panleukopenia, you'll find a video that actually Jackie is in, and it's a really it's a fun video about panleukopenia, but we show like full disinfection protocol in it, including for an incubator. You want to obviously disinfect anything that you're working with, and that just involves like making sure that you are using a proper disinfectant and that you're using it correctly, reading the instructions, making sure that it kills what you're trying to have it kill. We use a lot of rescue disinfectant here. You can also use bleach. The instructions are different for each of those products, so just make sure you know how to use it. But
And
yes,
that is 100% something you can put on your wish list. But if you do, you might need to put a note to explain to your donor base like what that is. Because if someone sees a bottle of rescue, they're gonna be like, what is this? And you could say like life-saving disinfectant for kittens. And then they'll be like, oh, I want to save lives of kittens with disinfectant. And so sometimes the products that we use in the kitten world don't translate to the donor world. So you do have to kind of explain it a little bit to them. And you can always add notes to your registries and wish lists to do that. I see a note in here. Do you use gloves for all ages of kittens, or is there an age that they will be safe? And I think we can both answer that, but go ahead, Hannah, while I scroll the
that was
question.
the next one I wanted to answer
Okay, do
too.
it.
Yeah, so gloves with any age of kitten at a public event, for sure you want to have gloves. And not only do you want to have gloves, but you want to remember that a glove is not like a magical item. If you touch the kitten with a glove and then you touch the doorknob with the glove, that doorknob is now infected with anything that the kitten had. So I always try to just if you're in person at an event where there are lots of people and these are cat people who are going to go home to their cats, and you have a kitten there, even if you don't believe this kitten has ringworm, just assume they have ringworm. Treat them like they did. So that means we're not playing pass the kitten around the room, right? We're not saying like, look, we're going to pass this kitten and then now pass the kitten to the next person. No, they're going to be with probably one person. That person is going to be wearing gloves. After they interact with the kitten, they're going to put them back in their little space. They're going to remove the gloves, carefully toss them before touching other things in the environment. And there's not an age where you suddenly can't have ringworm or can't have panleukopenia. Obviously, our unvaccinated or undervaccinated kittens are going to be the most susceptible to certain transmissible diseases, but there are transmissible illnesses that an adult cat can have. So it's an important thing for like actually protecting the kitten and the space that you're in. The flip side of this too is like the people who are visiting this shelter, they could have ringworm at home, right? So you don't want them touching this kitten. We want to be careful, just keeping things separate. But it's a good best practice to also just get people in the practice of like, oh, I should be thinking about that when I'm fostering. You don't need to wear gloves every time you interact with your foster kitten, but you want to be thinking like that. Maybe I don't touch this new kitten and then go touch everything else without washing my
Or
hands,
maybe
right?
I don't let this new kitten run all over my carpet and my couch. Maybe that's, I think, the most common thing. Well, along the lines of fostering, I see this question in the Q&A a couple times about are there any concern for people that are at these events and they get excited and they take home a kitten and then you get a call the next day that they kind of bit off more than they can chew. They can't keep the kitten. Someone described it as buyer's remorse. And are you nervous? Are we nervous about that type of thing? And I would say you can be nervous about it, but don't let that stop you from letting that person try. And there's a lot of workarounds for this. You can have your most experienced fosters become foster mentors, and you could plan ahead for this and say, hey, experienced fosters, we're expecting to bring on some new people. Would you be willing to mentor a couple of them? And they can gain that comfort and reassurance from another foster in that way. So I think foster mentors are a really good way to head this off and to have that person feel like they have someone just like them that's already been through this. So I think that is probably my number one piece of advice when you're doing these events is to not leave them high and dry afterwards. Like if you don't have foster mentors, you can do like an auto mass email check-in with everyone that took a kitten the next day just to see how they're doing. And 9 times out of 10, you can convince them to keep going, and talk them down if they're having like a panic moment. And then, if they do have to come back, I've worked it out a bunch of times when they've had to come back. There's typically ways to do that, but I think the foster mentors are like a really unique way to support that person, that brand new person fresh off the street that maybe wasn't intending to foster, and then all of a sudden they took home kittens.
Part of this is it's an in-person opportunity for you to connect with this person and demonstrate. And also, if you are sending them home with kittens, I would have you, have your foster coordinator there so they can do some demoing and working together. The model that I always like is the like, I do it, we do it, you do it model, where it's like, first I show you, then we do it together, then I watch you do it, and then you're on your own. And last question I'm going to answer on the gloves. Somebody said, can you just use hand sanitizer instead of gloves? And the answer is no. Hand sanitizer does not kill all of the things that you would need it to kill and have an impact on with kittens. So hand sanitizer is actually not recommended for this. I would say, put on gloves, interact with the kitten, take off the gloves after interacting.
I
Do you see
see
another question you want
I
to
see
answer?
one in here about venues and like finding a location to host a baby shower, maybe, or kitten shower if you don't have a place to do so in a building. And I would say you can look around your community. I would say like libraries are really great spots to reach out to. They often have rooms you can have at low or no cost. They book out quite far, so you oftentimes have to like pick a date a year in advance to be able to get a spot at a free library room, but libraries are great. And my only other advice there is indoor only venues. If you're going to have live kittens there, don't go and like, have an outdoor event with like live kittens around because obviously everyone knows that kittens are can be bouncy and we don't want anyone getting away or if you have neonates and it's cold outside. So an indoor venue, but I think my number one place to look would be your local libraries and things like that. If you're a foster-based group and you don't have a location and you're like, hey, I need supplies first and foremost, you can this year say it's not too late to do a kitten shower this year. It's actually the perfect time to plan one. You don't have to go all in all at once. Just do something virtual this year and see how it goes. And you can always switch it up next year when you have more headway for planning. Like you don't have to take all of these ideas and do them all at once. Just take a couple of them and just try something out if you've never done it before and see how it goes. You don't have to feel overwhelmed by not having like a venue space or any of those things. So just take a couple of ideas and just try them and, see if you can get those extra donations and make those community connections. And yeah, don't stress. It doesn't have to be a stressful thing. It can be fun, it can be easy, and just a really nice community touch.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Jackie, for all of your knowledge and information. I think this is really cool, and I see a lot of people expressing gratitude. I hope that this will encourage some people to get out there and do a kitten shower this year. I know for our partners, we would love to see every partner that we have doing a kitten shower and being able to apply with our grants for those more like unexciting things, like we really love funding things like, fecal programs and ringworm programs and like staffing and things that you can't put on a registry, right? But that our funds can support. And for us, funding cute baby blankets, we just always go, someone else would buy this for them if they do a kitten shower. So we hope that you will try that this year, whether it's virtual, whether it's in person, hybrid. If you're a partner organization and you do one, send
Yeah.
me the info so we can see how it went. And we hope to work with more of you guys in the future. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you so much for coming. It's been amazing talking to everyone today. Thank you for your time.
Thanks.